I met Jennifer in the fall of 1990. We became fast friends and were part of one another's lives for almost 30 years. I'm pretty sure the last time I saw her was at the Fancy Car Show when they came in for that in April of 2019. But we talked and texted the night before she disappeared. Jennifer was the most reliable person I've ever known. So, literally when I saw the Connecticut number, I immediately had a just prickly feeling. My suspicions were immediately that something dangerous, potentially violent, had happened to her. And, I'll be processing this the rest of my life.
On the morning of May 24, 2019, Jennifer Dulos began her day in a way that felt ordinary and familiar. She woke up early in her home in New Canaan, Connecticut, moving through a routine she had followed many times before. The house carried the quiet energy of a weekday morning, with small movements and conversations shaping the start of the day. She prepared her 5 children for school, helping them get ready and organizing everything they needed before leaving the house. There was nothing unusual about the way the morning unfolded. It followed a pattern that had become part of her daily life. After getting the children ready, Jennifer drove them to school. The roads were calm, the kind of steady flow that comes with early morning traffic. At approximately 8:00 a.m., she dropped them off at New Canaan Country School. It was a brief moment, like many other mornings, marked by routine and familiarity. That would become the last confirmed time she was seen in public. There is a natural pause in the timeline here, a quiet gap that seems insignificant at first, but later becomes deeply important. Shortly after leaving the school, Jennifer drove back home. Surveillance footage captured her vehicle returning to her residence on Wells Lane at around 8:05 a.m. The image is simple, almost uneventful. A car pulling into a driveway. A normal moment, recorded without context. This becomes the final confirmed sighting of Jennifer Dulos alive. After this point, everything that follows is reconstructed. Jennifer had plans for the rest of the day. She was scheduled to travel to New York City for medical appointments. She was known to be consistent with her schedule, someone who followed through on commitments and communicated clearly if anything changed. There is another pause here, not in time, but in certainty. What happened after she returned home is not captured directly. Instead, it is pieced together through evidence that was discovered later. Investigators would eventually focus on the narrow window of time immediately after 8:05 a.m. inside the garage of the home. Evidence was found that suggested a violent struggle had taken place. Blood spatter was identified, along with indications that an attempt had been made to clean the area. These details did not appear all at once. They were uncovered slowly, through careful examination. The garage, a space typically associated with routine comings and goings, became central to understanding the case. Based on forensic findings, investigators believe that whatever happened occurred shortly after Jennifer arrived home. The timing is important because it narrows the window in which events could have taken place. At the same time, digital evidence was being analyzed. Phone records and location data were reviewed to establish movement patterns. According to prosecutors, this data placed Dulos in the New Canaan area during that same morning. This overlap in timing became a significant part of the investigation. There are moments in cases like this where different pieces of information begin to align, not perfectly, but closely enough to suggest a sequence. The return home at 8:05 a.m., the evidence in the garage. The presence of someone else in the area. Individually, each detail is limited. Together, they begin to form a picture. Investigators concluded that Jennifer was likely confronted shortly after entering her home. The garage, where her vehicle had just been parked, is believed to be where that encounter occurred. There are no confirmed witnesses to what happened in that space. Only the aftermath remained. The evidence suggested that Jennifer did not leave the home on her own. Instead, it pointed toward an event that interrupted her routine abruptly and permanently. After the incident, it is believed that her body was removed from the home. This conclusion is based on the absence of further activity and the presence of evidence indicating a violent event. Jennifer's Chevrolet Suburban later became a key part of the timeline. The vehicle was found abandoned in a park not far from her home. It was not left randomly. Its location appeared deliberate. Inside the vehicle, investigators discovered traces of blood and other forensic material. These findings connected the vehicle to the events believed to have taken place earlier that morning. There is a shift in the story here, from what may have happened inside the home to what happened afterward. The movement of the vehicle suggests that someone left the house, drove to another location, and then abandoned it. This adds another layer to the timeline, extending it beyond the initial incident. Later that day, surveillance cameras in Hartford, Connecticut captured footage of Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis. They were seen stopping at multiple locations, discarding bags into trash bins. At first glance, the footage shows ordinary actions. People stopping along a route, placing items into bins, and continuing on. But in the context of the investigation, these moments took on a different meaning. Authorities later recovered some of the discarded materials. Among them were items that had been cleaned or altered. Forensic testing linked certain items to Jennifer, including traces of her DNA. These discoveries added weight to the theory that efforts had been made to dispose of evidence. Meanwhile, as the morning moved into the afternoon, Jennifer failed to attend her scheduled appointments in New York City. This was not typical behavior for her. She had not contacted anyone to cancel or reschedule. Time continued to pass, and the silence became more noticeable. Around 11:30 a.m., Jennifer's nanny arrived at the house. She expected to find Jennifer there, or at least some indication of her presence. Instead, she found something that did not align with the usual routine. Jennifer was not there. One of the vehicles was missing. The absence created uncertainty. It was not immediately clear what had happened, but it was enough to raise concern. As the hours continued, attempts were made to reach Jennifer. Calls went unanswered. Messages were not returned. There is a gradual shift here from uncertainty to concern, and then from concern to alarm. By the evening, the situation had become serious enough that Jennifer was reported missing. At approximately 7:00 p.m., the report was made, marking the official beginning of the investigation. What followed was a coordinated effort to understand what had happened during the earlier hours of the day. Search teams were deployed. Evidence was collected and analyzed. Surveillance footage from multiple locations was reviewed to track movements and establish a timeline. The focus remained on the morning, particularly the period shortly after Jennifer returned home. As more information was gathered, the timeline became more detailed, but not necessarily more complete. Certain elements could be established with confidence, while others remained uncertain. Fotis Dulos was later arrested and charged in connection with Jennifer's disappearance. He denied the allegations and maintained his innocence. Michelle Troconis was also charged, with prosecutors alleging that she had been involved in activities related to the disposal of evidence. The case continued to develop as more details were brought forward. Despite extensive efforts, Jennifer Dulos has never been found. The absence of her remains has left a significant gap in the case, even as other forms of evidence have been presented. In January 2020, Fotis Dulos died by suicide while awaiting trial. His death added complexity to the case, leaving certain questions unresolved. Legal proceedings continued in relation to Michelle Troconis, focusing on the actions that took place after the events of that morning. The timeline of May 24, 2019, remains central to understanding the case. It is a sequence of events that begins with routine and transitions into uncertainty within a relatively short period of time. From the moment Jennifer returned home at approximately 8:05 a.m., the known details become limited. What follows is a reconstruction based on evidence, analysis, and interpretation. There is a stillness in that window of time, not because nothing happened, but because what did happen was not directly observed. The reconstruction of those hours continues to rely on the evidence that was left behind. Jennifer Dulos began her day as she always did, focused on her children and her responsibilities. Within a short span of time, that routine was interrupted in a way that has never been fully resolved. The details that have been uncovered provide insight, but not closure. The timeline remains, marked by specific moments and unanswered questions. And within that timeline, the 2-hour window after 8:05 a.m. continues to define the case. If you found this breakdown helpful and want more detailed timelines and true crime stories told in a clear, step-by-step way, consider subscribing to the channel. You can also like the video and share your thoughts in the comments below.